Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, where we dive into the wildest what-if scenarios of our universe. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like, so you don't miss our next mind-bending episodes. Now, let's imagine something that's been debated for centuries. What if the Earth wasn't a round blue marble floating in space, but actually flat? What would happen to our oceans, our gravity, our seasons, and even the way we live every day? At first glance, a flat Earth might sound simple. A giant disk, maybe with walls of ice at the edges, and the sun circling above us. But if this was really the shape of our planet, physics itself would have to change completely. Gravity, for example, wouldn't pull everything toward the center of a sphere. Instead, it would need to pull everything straight down onto a flat surface. That means the farther you walk from the center of the disk, the stronger the sideways pull would feel. Trees would grow diagonally, water would flow uphill, and just walking might feel like hiking up a never-ending slope. All right, let's keep imagining our flat world. Picture the oceans without a curved surface. Gravity wouldn't pull water evenly toward a center point. Instead, the oceans would drift toward the middle of the disk, forming a massive, deep pool at the center and leaving the edges nearly dry. To stop the water from spilling off, we'd need enormous ice walls surrounding the planet, kind of like the ones flat Earth theories often describe as Antarctica. But here's the catch. Without the balance of Earth's rotation, these ice walls wouldn't stay stable. Over time, they'd melt, collapse, and flood the edges of our world. Now let's talk about day and night. On a spherical Earth, the planet spins, giving us sunrise and sunset as different regions face toward or away from the sun. But on a flat Earth, the sun would have to move in circles above the surface like a spotlight. That means not everyone would experience true nighttime, just dimmer or brighter hours depending on how far you are from the sun's circular path. The closer you live to the center of the disk, the hotter and brighter your world would be. People living near the edges might live in constant twilight or even darkness. And that perfect curved horizon we see from planes and ships, it would never exist. No matter how far you walk, the horizon on a flat Earth would always stay at eye level. Ships wouldn't disappear over the edge. They'd just shrink smaller and smaller in the distance. Sounds peaceful, right? Well, until you reach the edge and find out what's really waiting there. If Earth were flat, the atmosphere as we know it couldn't exist. Normally, gravity pulls air evenly toward the planet's center, keeping it wrapped around us like a blanket. But on a flat disk, gravity wouldn't pull straight down, it would drag everything slightly toward the middle. That means air near the edges would start sliding inward, creating violent winds and storms that would never stop. Breathing at the edges would become almost impossible, while the center would be crushingly dense with air. Planes would never fly the same way. Pilots rely on the planet's curvature and atmosphere to navigate, but on a flat Earth, air pressure and wind patterns would be chaotic. Planes might constantly drift toward the center of the disk, making travel across the edges nearly impossible. GPS systems wouldn't even work. Satellites depend on Earth's orbit and curvature. Without space as we know it, they'd have nowhere to go. Speaking of space, it might not even be real. If Earth were flat, gravity couldn't form planets, stars, or moons into spheres. The sun and moon would have to hover like glowing disks above us. But how? They'd need some invisible force holding them in place, moving them in perfect circles forever. Without that, they'd crash into the surface or drift away into nothingness. And then there's the question of what lies underneath. If our flat world floated in space like a cosmic pancake, what supports it? Is there another side dark, frozen, untouched? Or is it an endless void below? In a flat world, the mysteries don't stop above the sky. They reach below our feet too. If Earth were flat, everything humans have built on physics, astronomy, and navigation would fall apart overnight. Our maps, compasses, satellites, and even our understanding of time zones rely on a round planet spinning through space. Without curvature or orbit, day and night wouldn't happen the same way. Only parts of the disk would see sunlight at a time, while the rest might be trapped in permanent darkness or twilight. Imagine living on the edge, where the sun barely touches the horizon and night never truly ends. Clocks would lose meaning, seasons wouldn't exist, and agriculture would collapse. Crops depend on sunlight cycles, and a flat world's uneven exposure to light would destroy natural growth. People near the center might live in endless heat, while those toward the rim freeze in shadow. Migration and survival would become the new way of life. Technology would be in chaos too. Satellites couldn't orbit a flat world. Gravity would pull them straight down. That means no internet, no GPS, no weather forecasts. Planes couldn't navigate properly, and communication would depend on ground systems alone. The global network that connects us all today would break into fragments. Civilization might regress to a pre-digital age, where information travels slowly and myths fill the gap science used to explain. And without science, superstition would rise. People would invent new explanations for natural events. Why storms form, why the sky glows, or why the ocean never spills off the edge. Exploration would become dangerous, because who would dare sail toward the horizon, not knowing what lies beyond? Maybe a massive wall of ice, maybe a drop into infinity. Yet, even in a flat world, human curiosity wouldn't die. Someone would always stand at the edge, staring into the abyss, wondering, if this is all there is, what's on the other side? Centuries passed, and the myths about the world's edge became legend. Some said it was guarded by endless storms. Others claimed it was surrounded by walls of ice taller than mountains. Still, explorers kept trying, driven by the same hunger that once made humans reach space. Then, one day, a small group of travelers made it. Their airship, built from scrap and hope, floated over the endless ocean until the sky began to twist, and the compass needles spun madly. Ahead of them, they saw it, the end. The sea didn't fall. It froze in midair like a giant shimmering wall of crystal, stretching into forever. The horizon was a barrier, not an abyss. Behind that frozen curtain glowed a light so bright it seemed alive, pulsing like the heartbeat of the universe. As they approached, their instruments failed, their radios died, and silence took over. They touched the wall, and the surface rippled like water. One explorer stepped through. For a brief moment, he saw something impossible. Another Earth, round and blue, floating beyond the veil. Then everything went white. The airship drifted back alone. No one ever found the missing explorer, but in the place where he vanished, a strange phenomenon appeared. The night sky began to curve, stars bending into an arc slowly. The flat Earth began to change, reshaping itself, awakening from an illusion that had lasted for millennia. And as dawn rose over a now curving horizon, humanity looked up and realized, maybe, just maybe, the truth was never flat at all.